stand at the Geneva Motor Show 2015. Now, there are a couple of cars we're going to show you, starting off with this, which is the P1 GTR. They're only building 40. You have to already own a P1 in order to be able to even have the chance to buy one of these cars. And yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. I'll start off with the livery. It's obviously inspired by the famous Harrods livery on an original F1 GTR. A lot more aero at the front. We've got bigger radiators, bigger air intakes, increased dive planes. The downforce, which we'll get onto at the back, has actually gone up by 10%, so you're looking at 660 kilos at 150 miles an hour. Now, moving further forward, wheels, we've got a wider front track by 80 millimeters, which I think that's going to probably make the car feel as different as anything, actually. The brakes are actually the same, Akabono brakes, all the hardware's the same. I think they've changed the booster very slightly. We'll talk about the interior in a minute. You can see, though, that they've taken off the glass panels up here. There's also no glass panel on the across the engine cover here. Note that thing, I'll mention that again in a minute. There's another one down at the front. Moving further back, the engine, the internal combustion engine is now up to 800 PS, so that's probably what it's obviously just under that in terms of brake horsepower. Overall, we're looking at 1,000 PS. I wish it was 1,000 brake horsepower because it's a British company, it should be 1,000 brake horsepower. Anyway, 1,000 PS. Weight, well, they've dropped that down by 50 kilos, so that's the road car is 1395, so this is 1345 kilos, so they're probably just a bit less. The ride height is obviously permanently in the track mode level, so around the back of the car we've obviously now got a fixed rear wing which is 100 millimeters higher than the rear wing, which obviously went into the rear deck before, so the whole rear clamshell is different because you no longer need the area where the rear wing was recessed before in its sort of low road mode. It's a very cool rear wing. It's also still got the DRS mode in it, so it does adjust. Around the back here, which I'm sure we'll cut away off in a minute, is also a titanium exhaust. There are also air jacks underneath this as well, which I think is just one of those really cool things. Seeing a car go into the pits and lift up on the air jacks is brilliant. Anyway, we'll go and have a look at the interior. There's some interesting features. So the interior of the GTR is, well, it was already quite a claustrophobic cockpit. It's smaller than the 12C or 650S, and now they've taken out those glass panels. It's likely to be even more sort of, I suppose, restricted. It's quite a dark place to be. It's obviously even more stripped out as well. And I would sit in this, but to be honest, because it doesn't have a handbrake, we'll probably end up on the Lotus stand over there, so I'm not going to do that. It looks quite difficult to get into, but apparently actually this headrest or head restraint, the sort of DTM style seat, folds back to make it easier to get in. Once you're inside, there's a really nice touch it's probably my favourite thing about the whole car. On the centre console, you've got the door releases left and right, and they're a sort of facsimile of the original ones you find in an F1, which I think they just look really cool. All the other stuff has basically been moved onto the steering wheel, which is, again, it's based on the MP23, so Lewis's steering wheel in his F1 car. What else to tell you? Well, the car to you, £1.98 million, which is a lot of money. However, for that you also get the driver program. So, I mean, McLaren will sell you a car and you can put it in your home and never drive it and just look at it whilst drinking wine if that's what you want to do. However, you can take to your own track days. You can, what they expect most people to do, however, is for McLaren to keep it, maintain it, and then they will take them along to their run track day. So you turn up and you get all the telemetry and stuff. Oh, telemetry, yes. I mentioned the thing on the roof. Well, there's also a camera facing the driver, one from behind there and one on the nose. And you can overlay that with all the telemetry. So when you have your massive spike of oversteer, you can see it on the telemetry and what your face is doing at that precise moment in time. But yeah, you can turn up to a track with the engineers who will they'll take you through a program, so you can go and sit in a simulator and go to, say, Bahrain and learn the track first, and they'll overlay that data when you actually go out to Bahrain. It all sounds very cool. It's like the Ferrari FXX sort of program, I suppose. And if you've got the money, why not?